It let me back. Oh, what? Really? What? Thank you. Testing 1, 2, 3. Do I have any audio? Come on. Someone turn on the audio for YouTube and see. I'm not getting any. Testing. Hello all. All right, so I am seen, but am I heard? My microphone is fine. I'm plugged all in. What is going on? But Does testing 1, 2, 3. Please tell me I'm being heard. I'm either making a fool of myself or I do have audio. Great. Okay, that's I'm just making sure. I know many of you listen in through Discord, probably just because there's less of a delay or maybe the audio is a lot better, but I'm just wanted to make sure I'm coming through on YouTube. All right, sorry about the preamble, guys, and sorry about the hesitation. Yeah. All right. Okay. So what are we doing here in the first place? Well, if you found this channel, you understand that the channel RPG with DBJ is a weekly hour-ish long broadcast throughout the week. And the purpose of that is to deep dive into various subjects. And this week we end on Future Friday. That's what we do here on Future Friday, is to end the week on dreams. Interfacing with the dreamscape is the little tagline. So we gather our creatives, community kind folks together, along with some collegiates and classmates, and we all gather around in the boiler rooms and such and talk about this subject. So let's deep dive. All right, sorry, we had a little bit of a hesitation in the beginning, so my mind is a little callywapped, a little crestfallen, a little flabbergasted, kind of just kind of wiping the gears out, which kind of has to do with our subject for Future Friday. So you guys already know Future Friday, we talk about modern to, of course, the very far future. And you can't talk about modern day technology into the far future without talking about virtual reality, augmented reality, BTL, better than life chips, and simulated stimulation and holodecks and all those kind of things. And of course that runs hand in hand with dreams, right? I mean, the ultimate goal of using technology to create a virtual landscape is to create a world in which all of our dreams, we can live out our dreams for better or worse. I mean, essentially, some of the most popular virtual reality, Oculus, what have you, games, virtual games on your phone with the goggles and the haptic response gloves and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for the most part, all of those are living out your dreams, living out the locations and the person you wish you could be. MMOs are emblematic of that. Now, oftentimes in science fiction, when we do have some sort of virtual reality, whether it's very limited, like augmented reality, like for today, we do have versions of augmented reality. If you take a look at most high-tech military capabilities, you'll see heads-up displays. We have heads-up displays in automobiles now. And then if we fast forward what we call the near future, the tomorrow future, people have augmented reality in broadcast directly into their optic nerves, where they can just look around at storefronts and people's faces, and they're downloaded, a bunch. 20 minutes. Tesla, you're absolutely right. You get the 20 minutes into the future thing where it's the conceit that we really don't need to change what the buildings look like or the cars we're driving. but we're adding a little bit more technology onto it. Most police procedurals on television today operate that way, where the agents are out in the field, but back at the office, someone is just typing in and downloading. Like, I'm going to look at all the CCTV cameras and such, and are they all linked together? Probably not, right? But we just take that for granted now. But let's move further into the future where, yeah, Tesla says, hit the enhance button, of course. And mind you, when you have a 1 hour police procedural, you kind of need that excuse, right? Hey, take a, look at their face. Let's use our facial recognition information. Well, no, come on, kitty, sit off to the side, please. Thank you. There, find your spot. So once we get past the augmented reality, basically like an overlay, we start getting into virtual reality. Put on a goggles or plug the interface cable into the temple, or lay down in the chair and close your eyes, and you are taken into another virtual space. And this is the part where we start to play with the concept of, is this a game? Was this virtual world created by a developer for you to go into it? And how much, I'm going to use the word again, fidelity is there in this virtual world versus the physical world? If there isn't very much fidelity, much like current day video games, as detailed as they are, we understand that A, because we aren't completely interfaced with it, and B, because of the graphics, design, and things, we know it's not the real world. We're amazed at how fluid it is and how expansive the world is, but we also subconsciously, we detect the limitations of those worlds. We know we can't go so far. The developers have actually created barrier walls for us to go into certain locations, even though it's like, I want to do a flip over the chain link fence, and for some reason your avatar can't do it because they didn't design that part. Oh, it looks cute when you look over the wall, but you're not going to be able to go over the wall. And so until we get to the point where the virtual reality becomes, as in Shadowrun, the BTL, better than life, it's more or less a tool, and it could be a very entertaining tool to use, but it's still a tool. Rickard says, I will mention like the Transistor game as interesting inspiration for dreams in VR world building. The world where artists could design the world, sky painters who changed how the sky looked and put on shows of changing it as an example. Just like today, with very limited resources, any person in the world can create a movie and could create a very highly detailed, computer graphically designed, super 4K HD movie and use digital graphics and everything. But here's the reason. Most people don't do it. And it's not because we don't have access to the technology. It's because we're getting into that ephemeral stage where the technology may exist to create like a hologram, a holodeck, or a virtual reality world, but maybe we just don't have the skill to do it. And I don't mean it's the combination of I hear you bumping like, yeah, another hurricane in the books, ready for the next one, right? But maybe the sale of and the use of virtual realities has more to do with the artistry. It's sure there are people who are skilled at making and designing virtual worlds, but we have to go a little deeper. We have to go a little more dangerous, and maybe go into a realm where there's an ephemeral nature to it. Much like, yeah, Rickard says, well, it takes time and effort as well as skill. And I'm thinking it might even be something that you can't measure. It's like measuring an artist's charisma. It's measuring much like say Arnold Schwarzenegger as an action star in his heyday. you can't really bottle it. I mean, was he a great actor? Nah, not really. Um, for stateside um, measurements, he had a pretty thick accent. Okay, and yeah, he's a big muscle guy. We've seen muscle guys before, so like, why him? And so certain artists, certain people who have the ability to do things might end up be finding themselves falling into a niche when it comes to creating virtual reality worlds. And yeah, uh, Barbara says, let's be honest, is there enough of a productivity boost for it to be profitable? Well, that would be based on the people who have dived into what these new virtual reality worlds will be. And maybe, just maybe, there's a there are designers who are able to create worlds, and for some reason, maybe it's not even the detail of the world, but there's something about the way they design these worlds, either through computer graphic skills or whatever the new virtual reality skills will be, or maybe there's even something about the blending of our neural landscape combined with the virtual reality world. And so there might be specific artists that are able to draw people in to crest over that better than life, to crest over the uncanny valley that makes people plug themselves into this future virtual reality worlds, and not want to unplug themselves. That they go into these worlds and they become kings and queens and masters of these worlds and never want to leave. And that might be the impetus for a number of adventures, right? If there's only, say, a double-sized handful of expert artists in these new virtual reality worlds, then those people might be in high demand, and they could themselves become the new kings and queens of this new economy, as entertainers and such. Tesla Ranger says, I remember Hercules in New York. Arnie had his voice dubbed. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Yep. Dead Man the Storyteller says Andre the Giant. Yeah, exactly. Listen, I am not criticizing those individuals. I'm just saying that some people there's something about them. The Rock, of course, we're talking about big burly guys, but there are some artists that we embrace, some musicians, certain actors, people who play sports, people in the public eye, hell, people in our own social media landscape, whether it's like YouTube or Twitch or any number of other landscapes, that for some reason people have just tuned into them, and they may not be the best speakers, they may not look beautiful, they might not have that twinkle in their eye, but it's something about them that we look at them and go, yeah, I want to see what they do. I want to be in their sphere and learn that next step in their careers or something. So I'm going to read some more comments, and then I'm going to go even further with this. Rickard says, in the transistor example, everyone was kind of digitized and living full time in a sim world. So more like the Matrix rather than putting on a VR tape. And so this is where I'm going with this, that maybe there are Andre the Giant's real name was Andre Rene Rousimov. Jenny, what's going on there? Here's a salute to you too. Now, there's in the idea of the Shadowrun's BTL chips, the better than life chips, and some of the fears that we've seen in tropes in terms of like holodecks in the far future, that and William Gibson, one of the progenitors of like cyberpunk during the heyday of the mid 80s as well, thought of the idea of people who are okay. Some people would love to be in a virtual reality world where they're able to experience things beyond themselves, right? I have no interest in going skydiving, but if I could plug myself into someone who skydives, I might try it out if I could, put on a headset or plug it into the interface chip that I have in the back of my neck, and then experience that, much like um, Total Recall. Hey, I would like to go on vacation. Sure, I might be in the chair for 10 minutes, but I could experience a week and a half of being an international spy and solving a great mystery on the surface of the Martian landscape. Okay. But maybe the actors, and I mean that literally and figuratively, the actors involved in some of these virtual worlds, that we follow them in their experiences, skydiving, sexual encounters, having social and interactions with some of the most famous people around the world as they go on vacations. Maybe there are productions where these individuals are on the run from, like a Jason Bourne, on the run from enemies and fighting them off. And maybe there's going to be a class of individuals who are literal actors that are recording all of their experiences. And for us as the consumer, that becomes more of our dreamscape to escape, because there's something about them that allows us to fully embrace and experience their neural pathways and overlay them on ours. Yeah. Rickard says all the experience, none of the danger. Yeah, exactly. So maybe there are these special groups of people, much like the special people that are in, say, Hollywood, punching out movies and television shows, and we love their acting. Maybe in the future, the dreamscapes become us living their lives, and these special individuals, and maybe these special individuals are detectable in our real world, right? Like everyone, maybe there's something special about them being able to record their experiences, their loves, their hates, their desires. When they taste ice cream, we feel like we can taste the ice cream and just feel the intense joy of it. Yes, everyone says, I am interface. Yeah, I mean, maybe these individuals have no skill in acting. They don't have a skill in portraying another type of person, but they're able to record their experiences. And for the rest of us as a consumer, we can really deep dive into it so much that we become that person. And then, we go down a dark path where maybe these individuals are being they are forced labor to experience things, to experience, yeah. Leave them alone, because I've got my own levels. I've got like a Mark Harmon on those things too. Yeah, I think we all have those. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Janny. You went there. Yep. Snuff better than life chips, right? You find someone who has that special something that makes the rest of us go, yeah, I want to plug into what they're doing. And sure, there's a bunch of tapes where they're eating ice cream and they're horseback riding and they're skydiving and they're deep sea diving, and they are, standing at standing in the top of the Eiffel Tower, or hanging off the edge of the Seattle Space Needle or something, and we feel it. And then there are those who are like, snuff films, the pain, the torture. And, these people are really suffering for our entertainment. Their pain is our pain, their psychoses, their fear, we plug ourselves in and we feel our own heartbeats racing, and we start to get the flop sweat. We start to feel like I'm not going to be able to hold on any longer. And for us, that might just be a half hour of entertainment, but for them, there could be, people that are used and abused in a manner in which, in the beginning, maybe it was voluntary, or maybe these people were hunted down and used because they happen to be those special individuals. Oh yeah, Balford says Illithids had performance eaters. that which very much what in Dungeons and Dragons, there might be those people. Maybe they're special people that have a psychic signature that just fills you with joy when they're suffering for our own pleasure and stuff. You know, now let's go even further into these virtual reality worlds. Maybe there are certain artists that are able to capture the not just the visual and not just the how the wind feels against the skin when you interface into it, or again tasting foods and seeing things in this world and feeling them, feeling it deep in your bones. But maybe there's just these artists have this one more thing that allows you to feel the pain and feel the ravages of what it feels to be in these virtual worlds, until it gets to the point where there's software that's able to make us as the consumer create our own digital dream-like worlds, where they're literally able to take a world of our own subconscious, turn it into I'm saying digital, but this would be something far greater than digital. Turn it into a neural landscape in which we can explore our own subconscious fears and desires and pleasures and psychoses, and delve into them in a world that's created of our own making, much almost as if there's a plot to a movie, but every one of us has a different plot to the same movie, and we see things in different colors and different individuals in our own internal movie that we could never be put on screen, right? It's like reading a book. When all of us read a book, we picture different cadences and voices and the appearance of what it looks on the outside, and reading the inner monologue of the protagonist comes across in a different manner for every single one of us. What if the virtual reality worlds are extremely personal, that all we do is just plug the system in and we create our own worlds? And that might be the thing that makes people become like vegetables that never want to leave, because the programming itself draws us in so deeply that we never want to escape it. Zev says, not sure if it's the same thing, but Raiden from the Metal Gear series was raised to be an ultimate killer. He was put in a program to visualize killing people in a multitude of ways, and was given pleasure chemicals to his pain. The more painful ways he killed targets, excuse me. It eventually formed a side of his mind that enjoyed killing, but he tried to hide it and justify it by taking his abilities to become a guardian of the world, protecting the weak and killing the bad. And again, it's possible to have these virtual worlds where the virtual world is no longer fictional for us, but there might be extreme classes of people who are not just plugged in and vegetables, but they're learning and experiencing things in a digitized neural linked world, in which when they wake up, they have maybe, like you say, these greater skills for combat and the ability to overcome things. It's like, oh, I learned scuba diving, I've learned brain surgery, and I've learned to become a master chef. And like, well, you were only plugged in like an hour a day for like the last week. And like, yeah, that was plenty. I spent about 27 years in there, when I overclocked the system or something like that, right? So there is a possibility that these virtual worlds, these dreamlike worlds, become our own. And then if you take that even further into like the MMO idea, that or what's the Ready Player One idea, where there might be these virtual landscapes where everyone can join in, and only the biggest, the best, the brightest become these dreamscapes that you enter into. So it may not be your dreamscape, but yeah, Dead Man's like, I know Kung Fu. and getting overclocked with all the skills, right? Yeah, it's the lean back in the chair and plugged in, and I need guns, lots of guns. There's a possibility that we could have worlds where you, as the PCs plug in, and there might be like the top 10 greatest dreamscapes forever in a digital artificial world. and the difference between something high tech and something going into another dimension, the barrier between the two, the membrane between the two, might not be, yeah, might not be a thing. Yeah, don't talk about Fight Club. That's the first rule of Fight Club. Rickard says they've released something from the Witcher series. Just saw it, didn't see anything that showed. Yeah, there's like trailers and things like that. Henry Cavill finally has to put up his Superman outfit because they're not going to bring him back and stuff. Stupid Warner Brothers, stupid. Now, when it comes to incorporating like virtual reality into like a science fiction game, it can be a little bit strange because it feels like creating a player character who also has its own player character in a way. But there is a possibility of using virtual reality worlds in games so that the players may need to uncover some information or confront like an enemy syndicate, or talk to someone who only communicates with the outside world through a virtual world and is never seen. Like, so maybe there's a scientist who only, is giving out, trying to or a scientist or a hacker that's releasing information that shouldn't be released, or there's someone who's been hiding from the public for years and is like a social outcast, but exists in the virtual world. And the only way to communicate with them or to download a specific virus or a specific digital antivirus is to find this individual. And maybe they have to be put through like a trial and error series of sorts to find this person. There's also the idea, like just like today, of people being recruited into organizations, but they've never physically seen each other because they are not physically close to each other. But online, they are a combined threat. And so the PCs may need to go after like terrorist organizations or rebel factions or criminal organizations, or even upstart governmental systems where in a virtual world, although the people are scattered, the scattered individuals might be living together. Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but yeah, I hear you, hear you, Janny. Yeah, 4chan, 8chan. Yeah, Zev's like, we are the Borg, which is also a possibility as well, right? Like physically, people may not change, but if virtual worlds could be overclocked, meaning that time in virtual or in these dreamscapes goes at a faster rate than outside, that years and dozens of years, hundreds of years could pass by, whereas the physical world, there might only be minutes, hours, days, weeks. Then these individuals could train themselves up, be scattered all over, say, the solar system, although there might, you have your problem with time delay. But again, if they're scattered all over the surface of Mars, they may have never physically been together, but in a virtual world, they are combined together, and they might become their own, military faction or criminal organization. And again, we brought up this before: stealing people's memories, stealing people's emotional states, dealing black market emotional states that are very dangerous to society. For example, let's say in a future world, yeah, Zev's like, we call ourselves Total Recall, right? I mean, that could be an organization that deals with. Let's presume, for example, a setting where the government has outlawed what today we consider to be psychological problems, manic depression, schizophrenia, most phobias. Like the technology has gotten so good that we're able to edit those things away. That might be the new drug. The like Janny brought up, like snuff better than life chips, right? There might be a black market for that, where people have recorded these people being snuffed out. There might even be, strangely enough, there might even be like suicide performers that their greatest artistry might be themselves, of destroying themselves in what they would consider an artistic matter, just for the entertainment of others who who would love to feel the pain and the depression, and finally ending their own lives just for our own entertainment. Zev says, I love a pill for my fear of heights. Hey, you and me both. You and me both. And but who's to say that the deletion of the fear, like, okay, let's presume there's a pill for a fear of heights. Maybe that pill can only be created by using maybe each pill is specific to each individual, right? You can't just get it off the shelf. We need to get a truly detailed neural pathway for you, find out where that fear sits, then create the thing that will, the lattice that will block the fear in the first place, and then sell it to you. And those individuals might be extremely in high demand in the future, and finding them or forcing them to sell to the highest bidder, or they might become kings and queens themselves, demanding high rates to give people these, what we would call like superhuman mental abilities. There might be sweatshops of a person who's just being tortured for our own entertainment or our own pleasures and things. Like, you know what? This person has a specific neural pathway where they have no fears, and this person is just being psychologically tortured or even physically tortured, and we are buying those chips on the black market, and the PCs might be either tracking these individuals down or using the chips themselves. Like, you could have a setting where skill chip use, what's the television show, that Dollhouse, where the buying, trading, and selling and bartering of skills and personalities might just be a normal thing, where every PC has a handful of chips that they place into their head. Like, I'm going to instill my Kung Fu chip, my assassin chip, and I'm going to need my ninja chip, and they place it in the back of their head, and then they have those skills, but then they come across they have to break and enter into a high-tech lab, and they're like, okay, I'm going to pull out my Kung Fu chip, because I can only really, it's unstable if I put more than 3 chips in. So I'm going to need my computer hacking chip, and I'm going to put that in, and maybe there's a diplomacy chip, or a seduction chip, or a mechanical engineering chip and stuff. And the PCs have like 8 chips, but they can only use 3 at a time. That would be a really cool, like, micro setting in the far future, or it could be a player class type of thing. Like, if you're using a class system or a specialized ability system, where PCs pick they have one special gift, and that special gift might be the ability to run these multiple BTL chips in their brain and still operate as a rather generally functional human being. Zev says, I like how and I believe it's in Cyberpunk, there's a special division of cops that have been too heavily modified that they lost bits of their humanity, and they are called the Psycho Squad. And they deal with terrorist cyborgs. Yes, there is both Shadowrun and classic Cyberpunk have a thing where if you have too much cyberware, your humanity rate runs down. In Cyberpunk, it's humanity. In Shadowrun, it's called essence. In Cyberpunk, your humanity stat would start to erode your humanity stat until you get to the point where you become a cyber psycho, and cyber psychos become like these psychopaths and sociopathic individuals that have completely lost their humanity, and they go around, they become like serial killers, right? They go around getting the weapons and killing people and losing their minds and such. And yes, there are literally cops that are cyber psycho cops, much like Blade Runner. Sorry about the noise. Just much like the Blade Runners in the Blade Runner movie. There's a cop that's going around killing the replicants. It's the same concept, and you know, similar. I guess you could consider it similar to hunting after the Borg, although technically they're not Borg. They're just individuals who have. They've gotten one piece of cybernetic implant too many, and they've gone crazy. And so, yeah, there are, and you could play a cyber psycho anti-terrorist squad that goes around killing those individuals. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in Shadowrun, you have a score called Essence, and the more cyberware you have, the less your essence goes. The more your essence is reduced, and essence is a rating of how much magic you have. So if you want more magic, the more powerful magic you have, the less cyberware or literally lack of cyberware you can gain. Then there's a middle ground, and then one goes above the other. You have more cyberware, your essence starts to reduce until it drops out. It bottoms out. Now, me too, man. Me too. As Zev says, I think when we all started playing the first time, we didn't track that and just became full on Terminators. Yeah, the good times. Yeah, we did the same thing. Come on, if everybody's first foray into like any game that's got like reflex boosters and cyber enhancement and optical nerve, thermal imaging and stuff. We were just like, I want a cyber arm, and I want a hidden space for a gun, and I want blades, and I want poison inside of it. Oh, I can get body lacing and bone lacing. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to yeah. I can get I'm going to get a reflex booster. I can rank it up to a level 3, so I'm 3 times as fast as the person who has a first level of neural boosting. Yeah, definitely, right? Now, in terms of like psychoses and dreamscape worlds, like there could be people who are dealing in like black market socio-psychopathic chips because people want to feel what it's like to be these people, much like today's modern drug addicts, that they start to get into these better than life virtual worlds, but it's not, there might be limiters on it to the public, but in the private sector, in the black market or the gray market or red market or whatever you want to call it, there might be this gray market where, I have these chips, but the limit's been pulled off. I could really die in them. Yeah, that's what I hear. You can really die if you go skydiving, and you never know, right? And a person's like, I want that. I want the chip with dinosaurs and cyborgs and wizards, and I'm going to go into it. And if I die, I die. If I don't, I want to feel the real pain of being sliced with a sword or something. And then they dive into these virtual worlds, and there more and more people might be plugging themselves in, unable to remove themselves out of it. There may also be maybe criminal organizations that are diving into people's dreamscapes, and the more that they embrace these dreamscapes, the more secrets they're able to reveal, as someone is skimming, like skimming off the surface of their subconscious thoughts to maybe find like passcodes, or finding out about the history of the people they've come in contact with, or finding out about the super secret projects they're working on. And this is just their entertainment, but really behind the scenes, there's someone who's like, come on, like they're scavenging these 28 digit codes or something that make no sense. Come on, just one more thought. Come on, plug in a couple more hours. Yeah, just dive in. Oh, he's about to unplug. Okay, get the fidelity up. All right, there he is. He's right back in REM sleep again. All right, just a little bit more, and we got his bank account. Come on, guys, we got to work fast before he wakes up. It very much the movie Inception basically dealt with that, right? They used technology to fall asleep to go into someone else's dreams. And yeah, Zev says, I got 3 blades to pop out of my hands like Wolverine, but they were chainsaws. Practical? No. Awesome? Hell yeah. Yeah, hells yeah. Yeah, chainsaw claws. Oh, there was some ridiculous stuff. I loved it in cyberpunk. And of course there was always the um what we consider like equipment porn books. It's like books and books of nothing but like um more detailed cyberware that we could buy and more guns and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Those were the days. Now, Tesla's like, how do you store those in your forearms? Seriously, Tesla, you're going to ask a common sense question? Yeah. Oh man. Now, when it comes to like high tech and dreamscapes, we considering that if you want to have something that's like intergalactic, um, yes, I love the Chromebooks too for cyberpunk. I believe they started coming out after like 2017. They might have even been as early as the 2013 books, but I think they started those was 2017 and 2020 and so on and so forth, right? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, shopping for things in game. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, Janny. I loved it. I know it's pretty. The settings can be a little bit ridiculous, but whatever. That's the whole point is to escape. And in many ways, our own. I would hope that the further we get into virtual reality, the more us role players, our very brilliant community of tabletop role playing individuals will turn these virtual reality tabletop systems into virtual worlds that we can go inside of. And I guarantee you somebody out there is going to remove the inhibitors and go, yeah, you're going to fight a dragon. You're going to go into a world of cybernetics and fantasy and medieval wargaming and historical wargaming and stuff, and it's going to be completely real. All that dysentery you didn't want to have, yeah, you're going to get that. All that black plague and stuff, yeah. Um, all the great ways people historically and up till modern day tortured people, yeah, your player character is going to get tortured. And oh, did I say player characters? I meant you. Sorry. Guaranteed somebody's going to do that and go down that dark path. Now, if you want to go even darker, there are the deviants in our world creating virtual worlds that other deviants will want to deal with. For example, we just heard last night while I was at work that a newscaster was arrested for child porn. They're going to go through, the investigation and stuff like that. I believe there was a sting operation. Yeah, Rico says dysentery. What do we play? Oregon Trail? The answer to that is yes. I mean, listen. Some people have their own. Some people find enjoyment in certain things. I guarantee you that there are going to be the sadomasochists, the pedophiles, the those who want to experience what it would have been like to live in a particular time and era and not edit or delete or put a filter on what it would be like to live in those realms. And that in and of itself may be a great setting for players who live in a high-tech world to then have their own strange player characters as they play other characters in these virtual reality worlds where everything that they experience is real while they're there. So your colonist or your cyber soldier or your high tech, your technocrat, your digital ninja or something like that might have to go into a habitat and to find the leader of a particular cell of individuals, everyone might have to plug in to the Oregon. Yes, Zev. Yeah, a good old dysentery simulator, right? Third edition. The edition wars. Man, you know what? I like second edition because I felt like the diarrhea, the flow of the diarrhea and the smell was better in second than third edition. But third edition added like corn and beans to it. And yeah, yeah, first edition was just all just scatological humor. And I didn't really prefer the first edition, but but there's certain nuance to second edition that I really like. Ooh, ooh, see, yeah, Tesla's like, oh, you get dysentery, you just don't die from it. Well, you do get 3 death saves, right? Uh, the second edition didn't screw up player versus player. Uh, I Tesla Ranger, I can't quit the game. Hitting the button. Get me out of here. You get a killer DM. No, you're playing this character forever. Stop it. Make it stop. Oh man, oh god, that'd be so terrible. You get the you get the DM that's like, I've got a great campaign for you guys. It's going to be all surprises. Not make up any character you want. I don't care. The coolest character. Doesn't matter. And you just like, seriously, dude. Yeah. Descent into Avernus. Yeah. I'm wondering about the flaming motorcycle thing. That's what I'm wondering about. But again, virtual worlds, hellscapes, heaven, nirvana, going away from the dysentery and the sadomasochistic pedophilia virtual worlds. There might be virtual nirvanas, much like the people today who are public speakers that are verging on creating their own cults in a way. And some people might consider them to be dangerous. Some would claim that Scientology, some claim that it has given them a new walk on life. Others say, it has given them a great spiritual centering that they've always desired. Virtual worlds would take that to the nth degree, where some charismatic figures may be people who are able to extend their own bliss into others and bring them into a dreamscape in which they could dangerously leave our physical world and go into a dream world. And maybe there are law enforcement or police or even criminal organizations that are trying to discover these bliss makers and use them for their own purposes. Maybe these people that are bliss makers are literally tapping into someone's pleasure center of the brain directly and plugging them in and just maybe their bodies are just dying off. They're starving. They are living in their own feces in their own homes, and they're literally dying off with a smile on their face. And someone has to stop this. And the question will be, if you could plug yourself into a digital artificial world and live dozens, hundreds, thousands of years in complete bliss, but your physical body will die off in a couple of months, is it worth it? If you could live, because on one hand, you could say, no, it's not worth it. You're literally committing suicide. But yeah, but on the other hand, someone could make the claim, no, I get to live thousands of years. And the point of life is to live. And if I could live thousands of years in a moment of time, why wouldn't I choose to live thousands of years in a world in which I could become anyone I want to be and live in complete bliss and harmony? Zev's like, quote, when you roll your death saves, an archdevil whispers in your ear to offer you something to keep you alive. And if you agree, your next death save is a nat 20, but you now belong to them. Yeah.
Have a great day. Be careful going in Twin Rivers. There's a lot of accidents on 270.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right, baby.
Going both ways. I love you.
All right, baby, love you. I'll pick you up after bowling. This is DM. The Joker toxin. Oh man, there's all kinds of shit we can play with as far as especially the one thing before I end this out. The one thing I love about exploring virtual reality and dreamscapes and things is because it blurs the line between protagonist and antagonist. It blurs the line between willing victim and individuals who are it's like drug addiction, right? Is the drug dealer to blame for the person who desires the addiction? Yeah. So yeah, guys. Dead Man says Joker toxin didn't kill the insane; it just turned them into Joker clones. Yeah. Well, there's different versions of the Joker toxin. And a lot of them are pretty nasty. So we might see something like that in the new upcoming Joker movie. So, guys, everyone, have a great day out there. Thank you for tolerating the little hesitation in the live stream. But everyone, have a great one. I'll see you Monday. Bye.